everyone. Welcome in to week 2, episode 2 of Taylor Made Sandwiches. We've got Monday Night Football, week 2 of the NFL. The Eagles versus the Falcons. And boy, I'm excited for this game after week 1's Cousins was very disappointing and the Eagles offense looked like they were smooth sailing with Saquon Barkley in that backfield. For today's sandwich, we are going to be cooking up a Philadelphia cheesesteak while we create a same game parlay for Monday Night Football, Eagles Falcons. Let's get cooking. While I chop these onions, we are going to get into our first leg of the same game parlay sandwich, and that is going to be the Phillies on the money line, and that truly pains me to say as a Cowboys fan. Eagles money line has to be the play here in the same game parlay. I don't think that Hurts should have a lot of trouble with this defense in the Falcons, especially with the way that we saw Saquon Barkley really grooving and moving with this team. Head coach Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles has said they might not get Saquon as involved as they did last week. He did have 24 carries, which is a lot. That's a big workload. But I still expect the run game to run pretty smooth in this one, and overall the Eagles should come away with the win. So go with the Phillies money line. And now we've got to saute these onions and green pepper in the pan. Now, fun fact I thought we'd talk about here while I saute up our vegetables that we've got going on. How did I become a Cowboys fan? Everybody asks me this question. The fact we're taking the Eagles money line in this same game parlay is crazy talk as a Cowboys fan, but we are. I became a Cowboys fan because I was born and raised one by my dad. My dad grew up in a town called Muscatine, Iowa. He grew up, he always said back in the day on TV, he had like 3 cable channels. And back then, the Dallas Cowboys were America's team. Everybody loved the Cowboys. He had no professional team to root for, and it's who was on Sunday. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith's his favorite, and he became a Cowboys fan. And with that, sadly, I guess you could say at this point, with how much luck I've seen in my lifetime, I am now a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. Always have been. Maybe always will be. I don't know. Every year I flirt with the idea of changing my allegiance, possibly, because I get disappointed every darn time. Like, look at this week against the Saints. Disappointed. Step 2 for our Philly cheesesteak is going to be cooking our meat. We have some thinly sliced pieces of steak right here, very thinly sliced, that we're going to cook on medium heat. And with that, the second leg of our same game parlay while we're doing this is going to be a Saquon Barkley anytime. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley within this offense right now. He is looking smooth and ready to go now that he is playing with the Eagles. They paid him a lot of money. It looks like it was a smart payoff. Saquon Barkley's had a touchdown in 60% of his last 5 games. Last week, in week 1, he had 3 against the Green Bay Packers. 1 was a catch, 2 he ran in. Nick Sirianni has said that Saquon Barkley might not get as much action as he did in week 1. And even though Atlanta's defense is slightly better than the Green Bay Packers, I don't think that Saquon Barkley isn't going to see those targets or possible rushing attempts within the red zone. Last week, he had 9 total. 9. That's an extreme amount. And he's a shifty guy, a shifting running back that can get through this Atlanta defense. So give me Saquon Barkley for that anytime touchdown. I'm going to show you guys what we got going on. Our meat, it's looking pretty good. I'm cooking it on low, so it's going a little slow. I don't want it to burn. I want this thin steak to cook nice and good. Fun little fact about me, guys, I've actually never tried or had a Philly cheesesteak in my entire life. I'm from the Midwest. I don't know why I haven't had a Philly cheesesteak. We didn't eat a lot of red meat really that much growing up. So I've actually never had a Philly cheesesteak. So this is gonna be the first time I'm trying one of these. I'm a little weird about meats. I've said this in episode 1 that I'm a little weird about meat, and I still am, but I'm trying this and doing it for you guys. Our next step is gonna be to put our sauteed vegetables in with the meat. So we've got our onions and our green peppers in with our thinly sliced steak. So while our meat and vegetables are browning over in the pan, step 3 of our Philadelphia cheesesteak is going to be to work on our wonderful hoagie here, the bread, my favorite part. We're gonna put a little bit of butter on each side of our bread, and then I'm gonna add some minced garlic on top. I think this will give it a little bit better of a flavor. And while we do that, let's talk about the third leg of our parlay, and that is going to be another Saquon Barkley prop. Saquon Barkley to go over 17.5 receiving yards. Barkley is the new shiny object within this offense. And Philadelphia, for that matter, tried to really get Saquon Barkley involved in the pass game last week, and they did. He had 1 receiving touchdown. He had 23 receiving yards on 2 different targets. Atlanta's defense, their pass defense, is top 10 in the league, but it's only been week 1. And while I do think they might be a little bit better than the Green Bay Packers, something that you've got to look at is the fact that A.J. Brown is injured heading into this game. That means that Devontae Smith is going to be covered by that Falcons defense very heavily. That would make me think that Hurts might be dropping off some short, tiny passes or balls along the side to Saquon Barkley. So give me Barkley to go over 17.5 receiving yards for leg 3 of the same game parlay sandwich. The hoagie is toasted and prepared. The meat and the vegetables ready to go. We kind of put it in an all shoved little pile. I also forgot to mention my sous chef behind. She's taking the video. My mom, she didn't want to be in it, but she's been helping me with this Philadelphia cheesesteak. So the next thing we do is we are gonna take for our last step of the sandwich 3 pieces of the provolone cheese, and we are going to put them directly onto the meat. And with our last step of the sandwich, we have the last leg of the same game parlay sandwich, and that is going to be for Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins to throw an interception. Everybody knows about the narrative surrounding Kirk Cousins in prime time. He's always on clutch, and he can never get it done. Now let's just ride with the numbers here for a second. He is 3-10 in Monday Night Football. Straight up. He's had 19 touchdowns in Monday Night Football to 12 interceptions. Kirk Cousins had 2 interceptions already in week 1. Granted, it was the Steelers defense. They're a much better pass rush than the Eagles have, but there is no way that you are telling me that the Eagles in primetime are not going to show up and that Kirk Cousins isn't possibly going to throw an interception, because it almost happens like money. Kirk Cousins does not look 100% coming back from his Achilles injury right now. He's a 36-year-old quarterback. He only took 1 snap under center last week. Well, I said under center. I had to check. We're starting to get the melting of the meats and the cheeses right now. Only 1 snap under center. The rest, he was passing in shotgun, and he barely was putting weight on that back foot. I'm doing my best Kirk Cousins impersonation right now. And with that came 2 INTs. I think he's going to throw at least 1 this week. And with that, that closes out our 4-leg same game parlay in the Eagles-Falcons game Monday Night Football. And look at that, right on time. Our cheese is really starting to melt in with the veggies. Now we got to put it all together, and I'll give you guys the odds of the same game parlay. And let's try this Philly cheesesteak sandwich, shall we? Shall we? I guess we shall. Our same game parlay sandwich for Monday Night Football, Eagles Falcons, comes out to plus 325. I think that's an easy hit. Last week I tried to be a little ambitious. This week we're gonna try to do better and hit this. Here we go. Honestly, not that bad, Taylor. Not that bad. That was pretty good.